We all know that there are heroes and villains, but heroes often have superpowers that really allow them to be heroic. What if someone wants to be heroic, but they have villain powers? Powers that kill multiple people every single day, but they're still trying to be good, the best version of good that they can be. The museum's alarms were on high alert. The kids were trapped, looking for an exit, and suddenly, boom! A melting man walked into the door. "Please," the melting man said, even though his face and his tongue were melting and he could barely get the words out. "I'm here to help you. Just follow me." One of the kids screamed. Another looked at her friend in absolute horror. But the melting man insisted, "I'm the only one who can help you. Come on." The door got kicked down. 5 men in masks ran in, shooting guns up into the air. The melting man's eyes glowed green. One of the leaders of the men pointing the guns at the kids' eyes glowed green, and he turned his gun towards the other criminals, shooting them. A firefight ensued, and one of the girls of the class looked at the melted body on the ground. Was he jumping from one body to another? The corpse of the jumped criminal body's eyes glowed, and he jumped to the last remaining criminal, whose skin again started to melt. "Please, they're trying to take you hostage." These weren't normal kids. They were kids of the wealthy and successful, sent to study at mountains in Europe, far away from the prying eyes of the world. They were here for art history class. They were 12. Did your school have an art history class? Anyway, the melting man told them to follow him, and now they had no choice to believe him. They had just seen 3 highly tactical soldiers with huge guns be killed in front of them. But this melting special ops soldier who was jumping between bodies was the only one who was making any sense. They walked through the hallowed halls of the museum and heard gunfire outside. "That's your school security," the melting man said, as he walked through door after door after door. The kids huddled together as the melting man looked for any adversaries he could find. "One of you is worth a lot of money in ransom. I don't know which one." The girl kept quiet. She knew it was her. "But I'm going to keep all of you safe." As soon as he said that, the doors burst open. It was too many, and they were wearing bizarre silver helmets. He tried to jump from one body to another, but he was blocked somehow. Ugh! The melted man fell to the ground, and he started melting faster, longer. "Get on the ground, surround him," the soldier said, as he started to fan out and look at every girl in the eyes. The girl knew she had to do something. Fast. They were in a sculpture hall. A metallic sculpture was right next to her, and she had no choice. She picked it up and threw it as hard as she could at one of the helmets of the guys in the room. It was so unexpected that it hit him square in the face, breaking the futuristic helmet and allowing the melting soldier to jump into another man's body. The firefight ensued. The kids had to duck down, and the melting man expanded his body around them, creating a giant wall of human flesh that shielded them from getting attacked. After one jump and another and another, "I can't hold it much longer," the melting superhero said. "The helmets! Get their helmets!" the girl said. The kids understood, and as soon as the melting man went from his shield back to a normal body, they started throwing sculpture equipment at everybody. The soldiers couldn't open fire on the kids, not when they had a high-value target, and their helmets started breaking. That allowed Melting Man to do what he had to do. He jumped from one to another, and eventually all the soldiers were dead. He looked down at the soldiers' corpses. Probably ex-military, just trying to feed their families. Oh God. The melting man started crying in front of all the kids. The girl was confused. "Hey," she said, but the melting man was crying more and more. "What am I supposed to do? I'm trying to help." He went to his knees. There was fire coming from outside. The girl knew that if she didn't get him to get his crap together, she would die. She kneeled down next to him and whispered, "Hey, you're helping us. It's okay." Melting Man turned his melting, disgusting face to look at the girl in the eyes. "It's you, right? The trillionaire's daughter?" The girl gasped. He saw right through her. "You know, the powers I have, I could jump into your body and for a second have the most money I've ever had in my whole life." The girl backed up, terrified. Some of the kids in her class went away from her, the way they always did when they found out about her dad's money. "Don't worry." He melted further into the ground. "I'm not going to do that. And I've got the situation under control. If I kneel down like this, I look weaker." "What?" the girl said. Many more soldiers came into the sculpture hall, way more than anybody could fight, no matter what superpowers they had. They were led by a soldier with a flaming head who looked at the girl right in the eye. "That's her," he pointed at the girl, and the soldiers grabbed her. She was kicking and screaming, asking the melting man to do something, but he just kneeled on the ground, defeated. Had the words she said meant nothing? Was he just destined to die? The flaming head mercenary walked up towards Melting Man. If you come quietly, I'll let you leave in a body bag and not a shoebox. Melting Man chuckled. You idiots think that it hurts me to melt. Truth is, liquid is my most natural state. The flaming head mercenary took a step back. What are you? Melting Man melted onto the ground, creating a pool of flesh so thin that it went through the entire museum. The flame-headed mercenary only had a second to look down before his eyes glowed, and he started spraying fire at all the mercenaries around them. Even though the girl was terrified, she knew Melting Man was in control, and he was keeping them safe, keeping the fire powers contained to the soldiers. I don't want to kill you guys, but I have to, the Melting Man said. I'm sorry. And the girl understood something else about Melting Man. He was cursed with these abilities, but he was doing everything he could to help her. When all the soldiers were burnt to a crisp, Melting Man turns toward the kids. This was a superpowered body, so it was easier to keep control. Escape exits that way. I got some friends there that are going to pick you up in a black van. I'll hold the rest of the soldiers off, but where's the rich girl? The girl hesitantly put her hand up. He looked at her straight in the eyes. You have to come with me. Come on. He put his melting hand out. He was disgusting. The body was melting, but somehow the girl trusted him. She put her hand in the Melting Man's hand, and he ran with her as fast as she could through the museum. There weren't any soldiers left, but somehow that made it worse. Melting Man was panting. His body was clearly falling apart. So much for superpowered DNA. It's kind of sad that this guy turned villain. His powers are pretty cool, but what the hell is going on? The girl said. She was panicked and finally had a moment to stress out. She was having an anxiety attack, breathing faster and faster. Oh, hey, don't worry about it, Melting Man said. It doesn't matter how many times they shoot me. As long as I keep jumping bodies, I'm going to be fine. No, not that, the girl said, looking at the soldier's body. Why are they sending soldiers to kill me? Oh, isn't it obvious? Melting Man said. Boom! The windows burst open. A giant Black Hawk helicopter, piloted by men in the Melting Man-proof helmets, faced them. Melting Man put his hand out to stop them, but suddenly a psionic pulse turned him into liquid on the floor. He tried to turn into something else, tried to jump into something, but he couldn't. Soldiers came out, and while the girl fought, they pushed her into the helicopter. The helicopter started to fly away from the museum, towards the sky. We've got her, one of the soldiers said. Who's ready to get rich, boys? And the girl knew. If she let them take her, she would just be a pawn. Her dad would pay anything to keep her safe, and yet, it didn't change anything. She could do one thing to make her life have meaning. Jump into me, the girl said. Before the soldiers could say anything, her eyes glowed. Melting Man put his hands out and destroyed all the helmets around them in the helicopter. The helicopter crashed towards the ground, and Melting Man jumped into a corpse of a dying soldier in the flames. Come on, Melting Man said, pushing his melting body over to the girl, whose corpse wasn't melted. It lay still, like a wax sculpture. I saved you! Come on! Wake up! Melting Man said. He tried to touch her face, but his skin was already melting. His rule, only jump into the bodies of criminals. He'd broken it to save her life, and yet, was she dead? Was she... She coughed. Her pulse was going, faintly. Melted Man smiled. And with no criminals left in the museum, Melted Man was okay with it. Melting down until the molecules of his liquid were so thin that he could never reform into anything else. We had a pretty good run, didn't we? Melted Man said, watching the girl's faint breathing. Nothing about what happened to Melted Man was fair, Melted Man thought, but at least he'd done something with his life. He melted down slower and slower and slower, and he felt his life slipping away. The only way Melted Man could truly die is if he melted completely, and the melting was almost complete. Is he here? A group of people said, carrying a mannequin. They went up to Melted Man's melting body. They were in superhero costumes, bright colors, like you see on the news. They held up a mannequin to Melted Man's melting body. Melt into this, the hero said. And Melted Man tried. He tried with everything he could, but he couldn't. Come on, the superhero said. Another checked the girl's vitals. She's still alive, one of the heroes said. And Melted Man thought, I'll fight for her. I will fight with everything I can, so I can stay alive. Melted Man made the jump. Fanfare exploded. It wasn't a new day that the Golden Dawn welcomed a new member. A mannequin walked onto the stage with glowing green eyes, but the mannequin looked out, looking for one face. In the front row of the crowd was a girl whose life he saved, waving at him. Everyone, the superhero said, welcome a new member of the team, Melted Man.